Sports Snippets, Dennis Sullivan, late night on a Monday, here to discuss the 2022 or 2022 NCAA basketball men's tournament, aka March Madness. Before I get started, you do like the content, go ahead guys, hit the thumbs up. Got my lucky hat here for two reasons. Number one, St. Patrick's Day coming up on Thursday. And number two, maybe most importantly, I'm trying to give myself all the luck I can get here for my brackets, which I'm going to share with you. I'm not going to share every single game in the bracket. I'd be here for like 2 hours. But I'm going to share with you some of the things that I'm going with, really, and some of the trends that I am seeing. By the way, before I get started, feel free to subscribe as well to my channel. So let's get started, guys. I'll tell you this, and I'll just start off by saying, I mean, over the last few years, and this year is going to be no different at all, and that trend that I'm seeing is the best of the best. Most of these really good teams, well-known teams, they want to slow you down. They want to get you into this half-court like battle, and they want to win 63-59. I mean, that's just the way it is today. It's not up and down like we saw in years past. You know, UNLV, we had tons of teams. I mean, they're playing the old Arkansas teams, you name it, the old Houston teams. So, and those are just to name a few. So the trend now is to just defend you until you no longer, it's almost like you lose your will. You're just going to lose your will to strong defense. And that's what I am seeing more and more and more, even more than the last few years this year. I'm going to share with you, let's get started as far as teams. Here's my Elite-8. And I'll talk a little bit about the earlier rounds. I mean, there's some very interesting matchups. Again, I'm going to try to consolidate this for you as much as I can. My Elite-8, Gonzaga and Duke, no surprises there because that's 1 versus 2. Then I have UCLA, Kentucky. Okay, you might be thinking to yourself, like, what's that all about? I have UCLA defeating North Carolina. By the way, I have North Carolina defeating in the second round Baylor. I got a little bit scared with Baylor. I start hearing how they're not 100% and this guy's banged up and da-da-da-da-da. And then I'm like, well, you know what? It was a tough decision, but I decided to shy away, take a little risk, and I picked North Carolina to upset Baylor in the second round. The remaining 4 teams of my Elite-8 are Arizona, who I am very big on, by the way. I have them going to the championship game against Tennessee, who, by the way, should not be a 3 seed. That should be a 2 seed, in my humble opinion. Doesn't matter, because if they square up against Villanova, I could see them winning that game. And that's what I have, actually, is a Sweet 16 matchup, Tennessee-Villanova. And then my last 2 teams in my Elite-8, not much of a surprise either, Kansas against Auburn. But then my Final 4, I have Auburn beating Kansas in the Elite-8. I'm big on Auburn. I love the athletic ability of this team. They're all over the place. They're long. They're quick. They can defend in the half court. They can defend fast tempo. They can trap. They can do everything really well. I mean, not just trap. I mean, they could trap you really well. Real big on Auburn. I have Auburn. My Final 4 are Auburn, Arizona, Duke. I have Duke beating Gonzaga, and I have Kentucky. I was a little surprised to see many of the experts picking Kentucky. I'm sitting there thinking I'm one of the only ones because they went out quietly. But apparently a lot of the experts and those who had played college basketball you see on television, and you know they're great resources to help you fill out your brackets, also pick Kentucky. And I think they're looking at the body of work combined with the actual talent of this team. It's a very talented team. Of course, you have John Calipari, a very accomplished coach. Not the easiest of brackets. You're going to have to, and I think Baylor is going to stumble. That's part of my thinking here. And I think Kentucky's going to catch a few breaks in this tournament. That's just my vibe, guys. That's just my gut feeling. So I'm really only going with one number one seed in Arizona in my Final Four. But I do have them defeating Auburn. That's not an easy game to pick. It's really not, guys. And then I have Kentucky defeating Duke. And yes, I picked Kentucky over Arizona in the final. You heard it here first, or maybe second or third. 83-80. Even though a lot of these games aren't even getting into the 80s, I figure by that point, everyone will be, they'll be hitting their threes. I don't know. I'm just predicting a little bit of a higher score in the championship game. Arizona, just to touch on them real quick, what I really respect about them is that they do try to go up and down, and they want to play you in the 80s, maybe even in the 90s, whereas it seems like practically everyone else, at least of the majors, the big name teams, they want to play you in the 60s and even the 50s if possible. Arizona gets a lot of respect. I think they're going to do just fine in this tournament. Some other things that I noticed, Auburn's road to a possible Final Four is not really that difficult. They will play the winner of USC Miami, and then they, in all likelihood, will play Wisconsin or potentially LSU, but most people would probably see an Auburn-Wisconsin matchup in the Sweet 16. USC is interesting in their own right because we recall last year they had that tremendous performance. They're almost turning into, in the tournament, of course, they're almost turning into this like West Coast version of what Michigan State used to be. You remember Michigan State? They used to get ranked, 8th or 9th, or even 10th, and you had some of the most well-respected college basketball studio talent predicting Michigan State to go to the Final Four, right? This isn't even that long ago. 6 years ago? Not even. 5, 6, 7 years ago. And it would happen almost year after year. They'd get an 8, 9, 10 seed. They'd predict them to go to the Final Four, and it would actually happen. Now, I don't know if they were ever ranked as low as 10, but USC kind of has that little dynamic about them. So that could be an interesting second-round matchup, assuming that USC beats Miami, because that's one of the more entertaining first-round matchups, USC-Miami. Then in all likelihood, if USC were to win, they go up against Auburn. So keep your eyes on that, guys, in the Midwest. The South, Tennessee is going to be, you got to be impressed with the way that they play defense. I was almost tempted to pick them to go to the Final Four, but I couldn't quite do that. I think they have a very strong chance, though, to make an Elite-8 appearance. We'll see what happens. There, Gonzaga, I don't know, guys. I think Duke, Coach K, Duke, I think this works into their favor. I could see it now. The ratings will be off the charts with a Gonzaga-Duke Elite-8 matchup. It'll be an intense game, probably go right down to the wire, I'm sure, or at least I would think that it would. UCLA, we all saw what they did last year. They come in as a 4 seed and a very dangerous one at that. They have a nice little path set up for them also because potentially speaking, they're going to play St. Mary's in the second round, assuming they beat Akron, which I think they can handle Akron. So you could be looking at a St. Mary's UCLA second round game. Boom, next thing you know, UCLA's in the Sweet 16. And I have them playing North Carolina because one of my big upset specials is North Carolina defeating Baylor in the second round. But guys, when you do your brackets, you gotta, kind of go on a limb a little bit here and there. That's about as crazy as I got because every year right? I'll conclude this video by saying this. Every single year, there's upsets. Like some years, there's upsets all over the place, while other years, they're just kind of sprinkled in. But have we ever had an NCAA basketball tournament for the men in the decades past? Since the 80s, I've been watching this. Since the early 80s, I've been watching this. And I do not recall one year or one season where everyone's just kind of sitting around going, you know what? Yeah, it's just kind of playing out how we thought. Yeah, the March Madness. No, it's called March Madness for a reason, right? So let me know what you think. Go ahead, give me a thumbs up. That would be awesome. I will talk with you soon. The play-in games are Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we officially start the field of 64. Thursday. Don't forget, you could change your picks in your brackets. You should be able to anyway. Up until Thursday, at least in my bracket, you can. So keep that in mind, guys. I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.